Welcome back. Within the framework of the International Anti-Corruption Day, which is observed annually on December 9th, the world marked this day to raise public awareness about the dangers of corruption and on also development and society in general. Marking this occasion, we have this exclusive interview with the first Undersecretary, Khaled Rahman, the assistant to the head of the Administrative Control Authority.
اليوم العالمي لمكافحة الفساد اللي بيوافق 9 من ديسمبر من كل عام، العالم كله بيحتفل بهذا اليوم لأهمية التوعية بمخاطر الفساد على التنمية والمجتمع بشكل عام. من هنا بيبرز أيضا الحديث وأهمية الحديث عن الأكاديمية الوطنية لمكافحة الفساد اللي بتعتبر نتاج أساسي للاستراتيجية الوطنية لمكافحة الفساد اللي أقرها السيد الرئيس بالمرحلة الأولى وأيضا المرحلة الثانية. طبعا زي ما متابعين أن المرحلة الأولى تم إقرارها من قبل السيد الرئيس في عام 2014 وبتستمر حتى عام 2018، ثم أقر المرحلة الثانية اللي بتستمر من 2019 وحتى عام 2022. للحديث بشكل أكثر تفصيلا عن الأكاديمية الوطنية لمكافحة الفساد، أهم الدورات التدريبية اللي بتدرس فيها وأيضا الفئات المستهدفة اللي ممكن أن هي تكون موجودة فيها وتلتحق بيها، يشرفنا أن يكون معنا الوكيل أول خالد عبد الرحمن مساعد رئيس هيئة الرقابة الإدارية لشؤون الأكاديمية والتعاون الدولي. أهلا بسيادتك يا فندم.
بنرحب بحضراتكم في هيئة الرقابة الإدارية وبنهنئ الشعب المصري بالكامل اليوم العالمي لمكافحة الفساد. الحقيقة هيئة الرقابة الإدارية منذ نشأتها سنة 1964
Since 1964 is undertaken the task of fighting in general all across the Egyptian society in the state administrative apparatus. This was a key part of the state's orientation ever since the establishment of the ECA. To have an entity is entitled and undertaken the corruption, the fighting corruption, and during the 60s the state's administrative apparatus was being developed and expanded. There was a need for a specialized apparatus on the technical and professional levels to fight corruption, and so the ASA was established. Fighting corruption isn't only confined to the enforcement of law and checking out criminal cases. The ASA assumes other tasks as well as like corruption prevention in its initial form and administrative reform across all state bodies. This role has been undertaken by the ASA ever since its taking. To what extent has phase 1 and 2 of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy achieved their goals? The strategy embodies how much the state and the President are keen on following this year. And the strategy, moreover, embodies all state apparatus and concerned bodies, whether in the state administrative apparatus or in the civil society and national societies. Also, public citizens share one orientation and one goal, which is complete and integrated strategy by the state for fighting corruption, coordinating efforts, which is an element in the management science, is a main key to reaching success. This is why phase 1 launched between 2014 and 2018 had a specific goals set for it, namely 10 goals, and indicators were provided to measure the degree of success of those goals. And indeed, follow-up and implementation have resulted in continued success and some challenges too. That is why the President personally launched phase 2 from 2019 to 2022 to complete working in that direction. This direction involves non-stop work and efforts. What distinguishes phase 2 as well is the clear participation of civil society organizations, the private sector and citizens. The primary focus is on the prevention of corruption and raising awarenesses about this dangers. Definitely, the ASA had a major role in the dossier of corruption fighting. This happens in coordination with all state apparatuses, because all ministries apparatuses work on fulfilling this. How does this coordination take place between the different ministries and the ASA? Also, how does the coordination happen between the DECE, civil society organization, and national societies? Yes, we all know that cases of corruption are compound cases that require the involvement of several parties. The government party or the employee is just one party. The other party is basically a citizen, whether it was a company or a person. This company or person was forced to deal with the body at some point in time. These are the two parties involved in the corruption case. We call it, like economists do, the offering party and the demanding one. Traditionally, the attention was always fully directed to the government party or the public servant. Within the launching of both phases of this strategy, we began focusing on the other party of the formula, which is the citizen. This entails massive effort in terms of spreading awarenesses sustainably. Citizens ought to know their rights, they ought to know the procedures to be adopted when dealing with government bodies, so as not to be exploited by some financial servers. Certainly, the media has a huge role in raising the awarenesses of citizens in dealing with corrupt persons, corruption in general. What about developing that awareness of citizens' ability so as to be able to deal effectively with the corruption phenomena? How can we achieve that? This should start during the stages of elementary education. That is why it was very important during phase 1 and 2 of the strategy to mix some school curricula across all stages of education with some tips of simple awarenesses for all age brackets, all of the way from children, young people, and up to the university students. The fighting of corruption has to be a fixed subject taught at schools. It has to be a stable discipline. This is because what we call minor corruption cases are potentially dangerous. Things like what we colloquially dupe as gratuity or tips shouldn't be widely acceptable. The danger of corrupt practices is that they can be organized behaviors broadly accepted by the society despite all its negative aspects. Raising awarenesses against such practices should start at elementary school, move up to junior and senior high schools, and then extend up to university education when we instill in the minds of our children and youth the non-acceptance of corrupt practices and financial perversity. They would play a role in fighting them. Moreover, we should raise the awarenesses of citizens and instruct them where to go, what to do, what apparatus to turn to. Recent commercial campaigns like the Mirror and Start With Yourself have been tackling this issue. The commercials campaigns you just mentioned were extremely vital. As I said, corruption and perversity are multi-parted as to involvement. Just as corruption practices might originate from government employees, they might also stem from ordinary citizens who could break the law in a criminal way. Those commercial campaigns benefited public citizens and society in general as they started looking at themselves, seeing the defects, trying to correct them. Corrupt practices which are popular by time turn into accepted norms. So take, for example, the problem we now suffer from, which is encroachment of farmland. This is a totally contravening behavior which has led to grave consequences in respect of economic and urban growth. This behavior has also created many problems with various repercussions. When we face ourselves with these problems and see the negative behavior some of us adopt, we say, no, let's look ourselves in the mirror, let's reform and better ourselves. The state Egypt is undergoing is very important and critical. It needs effort from everyone to review their actions, help and offer what they can. There are key concepts like transparency, integrity and raising the efficiency of labor force all across the country. These concepts are essentially taught by the National Anti-Corruption Academy and implanted in those who train at or enroll in this academy. What is the role assumed by the NASA in implementing these values and concepts and in achieving the main goal of fighting corruption? Ever since the establishment of the ACA in 1964, training has been a chief element in the ACA working program. This was a result of the difficulty of working in crimes of fighting corruption, which are by nature complicated crimes with several parties involved. The perpetrators of such crimes are usually high intelligent and high educated people who do not fit into the frame of the stereotype criminal. Training courses for those enrolled and wanting to be members of the ACA are an essential part of their job. ACA members are required to continue taking training courses throughout the service period at the ACA. These courses are a basic part of preparing ACA members and making them familiar with the nature of work at the ASA and with their duties, commitments and ways of performing those duties. Training programs have been developed over recent stages or due to technological advancement. Expertise has stopped being merely experience passed down from one generation to the other. It has rather become an issue related to methodology and science, as well as reviewing international experiment in this field. This prompted the setting up of the National Anti-Corruption Academy. His Excellency Mr. President insisted on being the launcher and the activator of the Academy on the International Anti-Corruption Day back in 2018. The Academy, apart from working in training its members and employees, has begun to promote itself and its performance. The Academy has included teaching, training and instructing all of the employees of the administrative apparatus. Not only that, so it wasn't confined to the ASA members. No, ma'am, we train the entirely of the employees of the state. We also work with the private sector, national societies and the civil societies, as well as the public citizen. Sometimes the housewives and their children apply to have training courses on the concept of fighting corruption. What's corruption? What are the wrong practices? What are the right practices? So what should they do if they face such a situation? If they found someone adopting wrong practices, what should they do? How should they distinguish wrong practices from good ones? Among the tasks instructed by the President, hopefully, as we move to the new administrative capital, the NASA shall train around 40,000 employees who happen to be in phase one of those transferred to the new administrative capital. We hope this would be a quality switch for all of Egypt. We do not want to move from one place to another as if we were moving from our house to quite a big one. We want to move with our concepts to a different and modern environment. The course we give to government employees who shall be first transferred to the new administrative capital is called the main course. So what was required in it was to prepare for certain concepts, including those of corruption fighting. The course included other subjects. For example, the management of change. Each of us would have a different reaction to any change. Some would act positively and show enough flexibility, while others would be afraid. All people would like things to be stable. Yet the switch we aim to achieve should be a switch in everything, and the key element in it is the human factor. We hope, God willing, and hopefully that as the transfer phase approaches, we would be over with giving the main course to those employees of phase 1 who would be qualified to move. We try to teach them the elements of modern management. They would go into a totally different environment where, as minimum, there won't be the amount of paperwork we see now. So the concept would change, the work style would change. We also ask of them to establish different work relations over there. For instance, the chief-subordinate relation should be different, and the subordinate relation should be different too. Things should start taking the form of teamwork at the workplace. Teamworks are more likely to reach required conclusions. As we speak about the role of the ASA in the dossier of fighting corruption, which the Egyptian state has taken upon its shoulders as a main task, in addition to the dossiers of building, development and fighting terrorism, it goes without saying that the war fighting corruption is a fierce one, and that all concerned state apparatus have a major role in to play in it. How important is the cooperation and coordination between the ASA and concerned state apparatus on the other hand, and the ASA and civil society organizations on the other? Within the framework of the ASA's role in fighting corruption, the ASA is absolutely aware that this task should involve the entirety of the society, whether they were the administrative apparatus of the state, with all the bodies, ministries and general companies, the other party, the private sector, civil society organization and national societies. Civil society organizations play a key role at the current time, which we live in to growth in Egypt, as to fighting corruption and its prevention, and as to pinpointing its negative effects and dangerous. As a result, the ACA took the initiative of giving training courses to national societies on how to identify corruption, its reasons, its impact and ways of its prevention. National societies are spread all over the country in villages, hamlets and districts, and can reach out to ordinary people. National societies are the arm we use to spread the concepts of integrity, transparency and the negativity of corrupt practices on each and every one of us. The NASA has a very important role, as we always underline. It is a product of the national strategy for the fighting of corruption, a product of a sincere political will. What are the most basic training courses the NASA offers? The most basic training courses we offer to government bodies and to citizens, to the private sector, is that titled Corruption Fighting and Governance. In addition to this course, which is the main one, we give other training courses in the field of management and strategic planning, as well as in the field of management efficiency, management skills and leadership skills. We also offer training courses in the fields of economy, accounting and finance. Moreover, we give training courses in legal affairs related to the ASA. I'd like to say that the NASA, in collaboration with the Faculty of Politics and Economics, Cairo University. In the coming period, will be offering an academic MA in the fighting of corruption and governance, which is a field of general management. This academic MA shall enable us to obtain to study for a PhD. The study for this academic degree will be available and shall be announced on the website of the NASA, which is academy.aca.gov.eg. We will be glad to have our viewers log on to the site and check all the training courses that the NASA has to offer. Thanks, ma'am. Many thanks to first Undersecretary Khaled Rahman, Assistant to the Head of the Administrative Control Authority for Academic and International Affairs. Thanks to so much to you, sir. Thanks and welcome to the Administrative Control Authority, and I extend my greetings to all of Egypt people on the occasion of International Anti-Corruption Day. Thanks, ma'am. You are welcome.